Hello, friends. Today I'm going to tell you about leadership and various theories related to the leadership. Basically, leadership is something which is one of the most talked about item in the field of corporate world, and why it is required nowadays. In a brief walk of life, we need the leadership. Then the question comes in place: why not the managers? Why we need the leaders? And what are the basic differences between the managers and the leaders? My dear friend, this is a very important topic uh, required for your MBA final year, international business or finance or any other streams. And this is one of the case study which is most talked about in corporate world. Dear friends, why these leaders and why not managers? Because if you look at any structure of the corporate, there is a very good system. They have a group of the owners, and there are the managers who look after the entire structure or the second line that you call it management. So out of if you look at the external and internal part management is one of the most important part of any corporate structure. But then why not manager? For this, we need to look at one classic example. Way back in 1993, if I remember, if I'm not wrong, one big incident happened. You might have heard the name. IBM is a very giant, corporate. All of a sudden, it met with the loss to the amount of $8.1 billion in 1993. This is a phenomenal loss. I have never heard it, even you would not have heard it before in the history of corporate. And that is the turning point which gave the idea of turnaround management. Actually, prior to 1993, everything was well, everything was fine in IBM as well. But then from 1993 to 2001, IBM appointed one CEO, and he was a game changer. And all of a sudden, IBM got within 7-8 years 800% of growth. That is where that is how, and that is where people started talking about the turnaround management, what it is, and how to convert a loss-making industry all of a sudden into the profit. So here comes the relevance of the leader, and here we require the leader who can protect us, who can see the very interest of the corporates, right? My dear friend, generally in any management system, management is nothing but if you give task to managers, they will assign it to the subordinates. So there is a structured and routine system of the management. So they are not inbuilt in to take on a change. But 21st century is a age of dynamism in every field, in terms of technology, in terms of production, in terms of whatever social, economic or political field, changes keeps on taking place. Then where to go? Where is the way out? And if we are having the same old system, the managerial practice, which are meant for to meet the traditional requirements, they are expert in staffing, they are expert in organizing the things, but no, we need specific change, we need turnaround change, we need directions. So see one classic difference between a manager and the leader. Suppose a problem arises out, right? Manager will delegate it to some of his subordinates, but then that is here the leader will deal the similar situation in a different manner. He will call for alignment of the entire system, and that is going to percolate down even the menial staff, and he is going to communicate he is going to motivate each and every staff. So that alignment is going to impact the organization in totally a different manner. That has nothing to do with the common sort of management. So managers are good in budgeting, planning, right? But if meager budget is there, right? If changes are taking place, every now and then managers are unable to perform in a better way. So here we need some leaders. But then who is the leader? How come we know that a certain person is leader, a certain person is not? See, there's no watertight compartment between the leader and the managers. Even managers are the complementary part of the system, and even managers can transform into the leaders given the chance, given the opportunity, or even some of the managers have the ability, the leadership skill. But then how to recognize, how to identify who is leader, who is the real leader? How will you recognize? This is a moot question. See, there are generally three or four theories which looms large to define a leader. One theory is, you can call it the trait theory. Another theory is the behavior theory. And the third one is the contingency theory. These are the three popular theories which through which you can judge who is a manager and who is not, right? But then besides these theories also, there are many traits which are not discussed in sometimes. And see, my dear friend, trait theory, many people will say, see, Alexander was a born leader. But then some people believe, no. Many leaders are not born, like Mahatma Gandhi. So some people, some leaders, circumstances, elevate them as the leaders. And some people believe that they are the born leaders. So great person theory subscribe to the idea that leaders are not born, basically. And there is no, generic formula of a leader. A person of any stature, any behavior, any conduct may be having the, a hidden leader within him. So, trait theory or, great person theory was not that specific in defining the traits of leadership. Then came, there was one Ohio University in 1945. They brought one idea of leadership, right? And they brought with these two structures, you can say, of leaders. One was initiative structure, and another was considerative structure. What is that initiative structure? Initiative structure means, suppose you are a leader and you have the ability to define the problem, right? And properly communicate in the entire ecosystem, subordinate and others, whomsoever is the part of the system, even each and every stakeholder of the company. If you can put across the idea in a very crystal clear manner, right? This is called as initiative structure. A leader must have this structure. Then what is the second idea? Considerative structure. Suppose if you are a leader, but people are not supporting you because they have their own personal, social and whatever feelings. So first you need to communicate with them that what are the problems, right? And then you need to know about their problem as well. Suppose many people having their own, issues, family issues, social issues, this issues, that issue. So how you are going to tackle those issues, right? So you need to understand the person, his behavior, and why he is doing like that. So you have to look deeper into his family, social or whatever background. If you are ready to consider all these areas, then definitely you belong to the considerative structure of leadership. So you have the very idea. So one classic example that in the recent past, Dosa King Rajagopal, he used to take care of his employees like anything, and that was the secret of his success. Dosa King, the Sarvana Bhavan, right? Even he was not a person of good character, but he succeeded in his business like anything. He became a role model in the South. So, what is the second theory? Second theory is also similar, that comes from Michigan University around 1965, and that also talks about two ideas. One is production centric, and one is employee centric. So, leaders must take care of the production as well as the employee, and there is some managerial grid system through which you can measure what kind of behavior the leader has. Then there is one theory which came in late 70s, that is known as a Scandinavian theories. According to that theory, a leader must have some creative output. He must have, must do some creative experiment, and that is going to make him the real leader. So these are the, theories related to the behavioral aspect of the leader. Then comes the contingency aspect. What is contingency? See, contingency means how you react when a certain situation falls upon you, or certain situation is imminent on the company. How you are going to react on those situations, right? So that is going to decide whether. So there are some contingency theories. One theory there are basically 2-3 theories. One theory is launched by Fiedler, known as Fiedler model. Very, very important. And see, he says that how a leader is going to behave depends on the situation he has been fallen upon, whether it is a favorable situation or unfavorable situation. So the choice of leadership depends on the situation. Suppose if you have very unfavorable or very favorable situation, then what kind of leadership is required? According to Fiedler model, you need a very tough kind of leader, task-oriented kind of leader. But then if there is highly there is moderately favorable or unfavorable situation, then what you need to do? According to Fiedler, if there is a moderately favorable or unfavorable situation, then you should take lenient kind of measures. You should take care of the employee as well as the production or task. Then another theory, another contingency theory comes from Hersey and Blackard, situational theory. Hersey and Blackard. According to Hersey and Blackard, how a leader is going to behave depends on the maturity level of his subordinates. Suppose, and he proposes for 4 methods: telling, selling. So there can be 4 methods through which a leader could communicate. So how is going to communicate if his subordinates are neither competent enough and nor they are willing to do take on their job or challenges? Then according to Hersey model, leaders must apply the telling methodology. He should simply tell him that these are the tasks you need to do, because he has already seen, he has already this smoke that things are not suitable for him. Here he needs some little tough stand. But then there are certain situations in which people are reluctant, but they are competent enough. But then he needs to push them some extra, and here he needs to use the selling ideology. So the methodology of telling the things should be a little changed. He should take them into the confidence, and sense of belongingness must be put across in their mind, right? Similar is participatory kind of telling. You give them more autonomy, right? And take their confidence in your hand, and then you tell something else that they start believing. Then there is another idea that is known as you can call it the delegating. Delegating means you see that everyone is competent and they're willing also, so no need interfering them. Just delegate the right people the right task. That's it. So telling, selling, participating, and delegating, these are wonderful ideas given by Hersey. Then comes there's one idea of contingency theory known as leader-member exchange, LMX, leader-member exchange theory, and it came in 1979, propounded by Green and Michel, right? What is the idea of leader-member exchange theory? Actually, according to this theory, when a leader joins one organization, he, according to his nature or attitude or whatever you say, he makes his own coterie of a few people. He may be very close to his heart, right? They are known as the in-groups. But then there are others whom he will not listen, and he will delegate these core people to listen the others' matter. Right, they are out group. So the leader everywhere in any system, any corporate, will find leader is surrounded by a few, very close hand people, and they are known as the in groups, and the others are known as out group. So this theory known as leader-member exchange. But then another theory is also there, given by Broom and Yetten in 1973, known as leadership participative model. According to this theory, there are two problem attributes. One is the quality of your decision, and these are based on your information, cost, right, and how you are analyzing the structure of the problem. And that will decide the quality of your decision. And second, employees' acceptability, right? Suppose you are trying to push them something and they are not ready to accept. How much they are going to accept, right? So if they are ready to accept, then actually it depends on three things. One is commitment, another is congruence, and the third is conflict. Suppose if an employee is committed, then definitely he will listen his superior's order. Suppose if he feels secured, his own goal is congruent with the goal of the company, then also he is going to listen to a great extent. But then if there are conflict between his interest and the company's interest, then the acceptability among the employee will not remain the same. So this is what given by this problem attributes theory, leadership participative model by Broom and Yetten. Then there is another theory known as path goal theory by Robert House. This is the last theory, path goal theory. Actually, path goal theory is to a great extent inspired by the Ohio model. That the first idea of this theory is that leaders must communicate what he wishes to do, what is his goal, and it should be proper, put across among the entire ecosystem, right? So, according to this path goal theory, right, uh, depending on the situations, right, leaders can be of four types. One, the directive leaders. Directive leaders will give you the complete charted out path, how to do, what to do, and when to do, right? Then supportive, leaders, they will also help you out in doing something. Then participating leader, they will take your suggestion also, right? Then there's one achievement, based leaders. They will simply delegate you some task and they will help you till the task is achieved, right? So these are some of the attributes of leader, and besides this, there are some other attributes as well, like leaders must be having the attribute of self-awareness. So what is the what is going to help if I am self-aware? I know what is my strength, what is my weakness, what are my driving points, what are my emotional weaknesses. So accordingly, we can see if given some situation comes. So we are going to decide, because if we are self-aware, if we are not going to take toughest stand, right? We are going to be more and more humane. Secondly, a leader must have the self-regulation. If he does something wrong, he should confess, right? And he should not do it in the next time. That is going to help his entire ecosystem. Leaders must have the empathy as well. Empathy means, suppose something wrong happens in the company, he must shoulder some responsibility, right? Also, and some other traits we all know: integrity, honesty, motivation. These are some inherent feature in every leaders. So these are so today we discussed what we discussed. Today we discussed about what is manager's role and what are the difference between the managers and the leaders. Then we saw different theories related to the leaders, be it the trait theory, be it the behavioral theory, and be it the what you call the third, contingency theory. So this is all about the leadership class. Thank you very much. And if you like this video, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.